Thanksgiving and you're getting ready for Christmas. And by that, I mean just time with family, you guys. Ooh, we don't spend enough time with family. And while I'm talking about that, I want to talk to you about insulin resistance. So I'm coming to you from Maryland. Where's everybody else at? Where are you guys at? Where in the world are you coming in from? So it's beautiful here in Maryland. A little bit cold this weekend, finally. I'm not used to the weather out here, and but sunny, and I love it. It's so beautiful here in the fall and winter. Anyway, let me know where you're coming in from. We're going to talk about insulin resistance. We're going to talk about all these things up here that link into insulin resistance. So here's how it's going to go this morning. I'm going to explain to you what insulin resistance is. I'm going to explain to you what's causing it. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these things, how it links into those, so that you guys have a full picture of what's going on. And then I'm going to give you some solutions. Okay, so just bear with me and let's dive in. So does everybody know? If let me see, let's see. How am I going to say this morning? Because it's Monday and my mind hasn't put itself together yet. Insulin resistance. How many of you guys know what it is? If you know what it is, put a 1 in. If you don't know what it is and you need a full explanation of what insulin resistance actually is, type in a 2 and I will explain what insulin resistance is. Because I think that's Stephanie. I'm glad you know what it is. That's amazing. More and more people are learning. So there's always some people, and you guys, there's no judgment in this. Understand that I have so many favorite sayings, but one of my favorite sayings is we don't know what we don't know until we know what we don't know, right? So even doctors, I heard a doctor the other day talking about insulin resistance, and she said that they never really covered it in med school. They never talked about it. They were never taught to treat it. They were never taught how to handle it. And then when she did start diving into insulin resistance and figuring out how to handle it, it has some pieces to it other than just throw a medication at it. And most doctors don't have the time or don't want to deal with that, so they're throwing medication after medication at you. So let's dive into what insulin resistance is, and then understand the reason you're not knowing about it is because it hasn't been talked about until recently. So insulin resistance is simply when we take in too much food too often, and it creates this load of blood sugar or energy in our bloodstream. So we need to understand that every time we eat, we're creating energy in our body, and that energy looks like something called glucose in our bloodstream. Well, the blood can only carry about 1 teaspoon, so about the size of a sugar cube, in our bloodstream, or it starts to cause damage. One doctor explained it to me as you think about like glass shards running through your bloodstream. So when we have this excess sugar in our blood, our body cues, it goes to our brain, and then it cues this organ called the pancreas to put out insulin. Insulin is just a hormone. It's a pretty important hormone, though. I say just a hormone, but it's like a primary hormone. It takes precedence over other hormones in the body. There's a feedback loop with almost every other hormone in the body with insulin. So now the pancreas is producing insulin as a result of this excess energy that you have in your bloodstream. What's insulin's job? As a hormone, what it really is doing is it's transporting energy from the bloodstream to the cells of the body. Because if you think about it, every cell of the body needs energy to do its job. Every single cell of the body needs energy. So it's not just your fat cells. It's not just your heart or your liver or your kidneys. You got to think about your bones and your tendons and your ligaments and your synovial fluid and all of the stuff in your body that we don't normally think about. All needs energy. That's why we eat in the first place, or it's supposed to be, right? So now this insulin is carrying the energy around. Yay, good job, body. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But bad girl, you're not the only person in here. So you stop and I will get to the answer. Okay. So people don't understand what it is. They need to understand so they can know how to get better. Sorry for that, but I'm just not up for that this morning. So now insulin is in your system and it's delivering all of this energy, but then we continue to eat and we continue to eat food that's converting to energy too quickly. And then now we have excess insulin in the bloodstream for a long time. That's hyperinsulinemia, becomes chronic hyperinsulinemia. Too much insulin in the bloodstream for that long period of time because we're constantly calling for it, because we're constantly needing more of it to transport this energy. is now causing insulin resistance, wherein the cells are like, okay, great, you're bringing energy to me. I want the energy, but I'm full. I can't take anymore. I don't want anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm done for the day. But you keep knocking on the door. So now your cells see insulin like a nosy neighbor. So the insulin knocks on the door, can't get in, neighbor won't let it in, it's done. So that's insulin resistance when the cells are resistant to it. But the thing is, now the cells have become so annoyed with insulin that they're not taking it in even when they need it. So now you have muscles that are depleting, bone cells that are depleting, kidneys that can't function right, livers that's not functioning right. And you have neurons and neural connections that aren't working right. Man, I need my tea. So you have all this dysfunction going on in your body because of this thing called insulin resistance. And that's devastating. That's why we have all of this. And I can go into some of these things this morning before we talk about all the solutions. So that's insulin resistance. The cells are simply saying no to the energy that you need. So now what happens when the cells, the rest of the cells of the body aren't going to take in this energy to do their job? What then happens is insulin says, well, they're going to eat again. The blood sugar is going to go up again. I have to get rid of this. I've got to put it someplace. So we have a warehouse system on our body, and that's called our fat cells. And we have two types of fat cells, but insulin is going to deliver the energy to those fat cells. That's why you start gaining weight. You're not getting heavy because of just some random thing and then you get insulin resistance. You're being resistant to insulin and then you're putting on weight. Two types of fat cells. There's white fat and there's brown fat. So the white fat hides jojoba, and then there is the brown fat. So white fat is the jiggly stuff on the outside of your body. Think about your thighs, your arms, around your buttocks, all of those places. The brown fat is what's underneath the muscle wall of the stomach, and it's what makes you have a stomach that pooches out like this one up here, up here. So if you have that type of tummy that's starting to poke out and the rest of the body isn't seeming to catch up to it, you have that kind of like apple shape, that's insulin resistance. You're storing more brown fat. Why is that important? Because brown fat is supposed to be there to cushion and support our organs. It has mitochondria in it. There are these little energy cells, energy things in the body that creates warmth and energy. So it's there. When you look at a baby, they have a lot of visceral fat because they don't move around a lot. So they need that visceral fat to keep those organs that are developing warm and cushioned until they get up and moving around and can create other energy sources for those. So now you have all this visceral fat, but what's happening when you have visceral fat? It's choking out your liver, your kidneys, your heart. It can affect your lungs. It can affect your intestines because there's just too much. And remember, you have a muscle wall on the outside of it. So the big difference between visceral fat and come on, subcutaneous fat. Wow, you guys, is that muscle wall kind of contracts, right? So it's holding that fat in, whereas the other places, the fat just kind of keeps expanding and the skin holds it in, but not as much as that muscle wall of the belly. So now we have problems with our organs. So yeah, that was me too. No, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I worked in the medical field for years, and I'm a woman who suffered with all of this stuff up here, lost 3 joints, had a doctor actually tell me there was nothing they could do for me, found a solution and started fixing it on my own. So that's me. So now insulin resistance, now you have excess fat. You have fat around your belly that's causing problems. And now, because your fat cells are starting to get full, you, Sarah, we'll talk about that in a minute, and I will disagree. So now that your fat cells are starting to get full, because your fat cells are innately intelligent too, they're going to say, think of like a water balloon. If a water balloon gets too much energy or too much water in it, it's either going to explode or it's going to start spilling the water back out the top as the hose is trying to fill it. That's what our fat cells go through. So they have this fat spilling, the energy spilling back out into the bloodstream. Now your A1C and your blood glucose are going up because that sugar's landing back in your bloodstream. Now you're pre-diabetic or diabetic. That's insulin resistance. Okay, so How do you fix it? You have to understand, besides just that we're eating too much, why is it so much different now than a generation ago? Why is insulin resistance such a huge thing now and it wasn't a generation ago? Because of our food. Our food has been stripped of vital nutrients that we need in order to process the food. And the biggest food substance that most doctors and nutritionists are talking about now that is causing our ill health and could actually lengthen our longevity is called fiber, right? So our fiber has been stripped from our foods. And to understand this, you guys, everybody says, yeah, you got to eat raw, you got to eat vegan, you got to do all this stuff. And no, I mean, yes, you can, that helps. But even if you're eating raw organic foods, this is what a peach used to look like when I was a kid, right? A little bit tart, definitely more crunchy, not as juicy and sweet as we have now. That's the size of a peach that used to be. Now our peaches are as big as my fist and they're super juicy. Sometimes they're a little bit crunchy, but why? How did it go from super crunchy to super sweet? They stripped out the fibers. They genetically modified out the fibers, and they started adding in this fructose higher and higher in the food. Potatoes are the same thing. How many of you guys have seen like the big baker potatoes that they have now, these huge things? How many of you guys ever, I grew up on a farm in North Idaho. We grew our own food. We didn't have potatoes that size. And so fibers have been stripped even from our potatoes. And so now they're higher in starch, they're higher in sugars. And now we're having a problem because we're inundating our system with sugars. All of our foods are GMO. All of our foods are GMO. You guys, if you don't understand that, you've got to start understanding that now. The foods that we eat now are all GMO, and I'm going to cover the worst foods and the worst foods and the best foods to eat in just a little bit and give you some tips. So just hang on. But you've got to understand that what really is causing a lot of this is the fact that we're eating these foods that are devoid of fiber and nutrients. Fiber, why fiber? You guys think that fiber is all about pooping? That fiber is just to make you go be regular? Because it's not. It's not about being regular. Fiber does do that, but every fiber and every food has a different action in the body, has a different purpose. There are some fibers that are there to regulate the sugars in our system. When we look at fruits or vegetables, carbohydrates in nature have always been paired, carbohydrate has always been paired with fiber because that's nature's way of slowing down this glucose delivery into our system. So if we've stripped fiber away, now what's happening is that sugar, especially in fruits, fructose, is delivering to our system far too quickly, spiking our blood sugar, causing the need for insulin, and we're doing it every 2 hours. Because how many of you guys have heard, oh, Tia, we're going to talk about PCOS. Hang on. Every 2 hours, if you guys heard that, if you eat every 2 hours, you're going to boost your metabolism. That's what you need to do to get all of this under control. Insulin is good fiber. Inulin is good fiber. For sugar control, there are 3 fibers that are really good for sugar control, and I'll show you those in just a minute. Okay. So fiber is one, but there's also things like proteins and enzymes and all of that that's been stripped out of our food. Just understand that when science has said in 2022, let's go back, in 2018, science said that 88% of us were metabolically unhealthy. Yet in 2022, they said 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy. That's huge. So if 93% of kids in school were failing, would you go to the kid and say, you're failing, you're doing wrong, you've got to do better, it's all your fault? Or would you go to the school and be like, what are you doing to these kids? What are you giving them? Why are they failing? Why are you not teaching these kids right? Yet when we look at metabolic disorders and all of these linked diseases, how many of you guys have gone to a doctor and had them tell you, if you just ate better, if you just cared more, if you just got up and did more exercise, if you took control of your life, and if you just cared more and got rid of that fat, you would be better, but it's all your fault. And how many of you guys have heard that and then also said, I've tried and I can't lose weight? Look, I was a world champion powerlifting athlete. I worked out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. Yep, corporal, absolutely. And I was still heavy and I was still sick and I still had a doctor tell me that my metabolism was jacked up and there was nothing she could do for me. I had nutritionists work on it. I had the gym bros who are training bodybuilders work on it. Because one guy was like, I got this, Misha, I'm gonna fix it. Nobody knows like I know, and I'm gonna give you this program and we're gonna follow that. And I did it. And I came back and I'm like, dude, I'm not losing weight. I'm following this to the T. The calories, the fat, the fiber, the carbohydrates, the workouts, the all of it, and I'm not losing weight. What gives? And he's like, I don't know. I've never run into anyone like you. So if you're a woman, especially a woman, and if you're older and you're suffering from these things, it does get tougher for us. And it's not just like some 20-something-year-old guy is going to help you. So what worked for me is coming in just a second. I have something tucked there. Okay. All of that. That's fine. So you need to lose weight, right? You're going to start feeling better. We'll dive into these. How many of you guys want to hear the solution now, and then we'll go into these things later? Or do you want me to go into all of these things and then tell you what worked? Because you need to understand that it's simple. What I also want you to understand, and I'll just dive into it. What you need to understand is that medications do not fix a dietary problem. Medications do not fix a dietary problem. So what I did after I would put on 10 different medications and all of that, I found this system. Actually, I found it right here on TikTok, and I was super skeptical, but I tried it. So now I have a tea in the morning every morning, and then I have fiber 10 minutes before each of my meals. Now I could go out and I could do all of the buy this, buy that, berberine, inulin, all of this stuff and try to affect it, right? I actually have a gal who has a natural health clinic who wrote big solutions for her clients based on all of those things. And it was a complicated thing. Guess what? She now gives her clients this system. So the system is this: a tea in the morning. The tea helps me burn fat for fuel when I'm in a fasted state. It helps me have mental energy and clarity without giving me jitters and all of that. It can actually help physical endurance and whatnot in training by 10 to 15%. That's huge for an athlete. I wish I would have had this when I was competing. Now, so the tea and they both come in these small packets like this. They're hyper purified, so toxins, pesticides, all of that have been removed. This is 375 times the components in this that we need to get to you as in any bagged tea. And yet it's just as this, and you mix it in some water and drink it, and that's it. So it makes it super portable. But the tea is helping you burn fat for fuel. It's helping you put out ketones when you're already fasting. It doesn't break a fast. It gives you mental clarity and energy. Since you're burning fat for fuel, you have this crazy energy, but you're not hungry, because hunger is your body saying it needs energy. And when you're getting your metabolism to work right, and it's now unlocking this fat burning stage, it doesn't feel like it needs energy, and you don't feel hungry, because hunger is a need for energy. Now, when I do eat, which is I fast for about 16 hours every day, and I keep my eating to an 8-hour window most days. I don't do this every day, but most days. So then today I won't eat until 12 or 1 o'clock. That's my 12-hour window. Then I'll have this, which is a multi-fiber complex that I drink. I put it in about this much water, shake it up, drink it down 10 minutes before I eat. Now, what that's doing is it has 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers in it that will start to gel up in my gut. So it makes me feel fuller before I even start to eat. So less likely to overeat. Like, how many of you guys get Joy? We should be talking. Okay. So Rach, I am working on Australia right now, so let's talk too. I should get your number. You guys, I have a WhatsApp number. We'll get there. All right. So back to the fiber. It's making me feel full quicker. But remember, I talked about fibers having different actions in the body. This supplement has different fibers that are going to help with the regulation of sugar. So it slows down sugar entering your system. Now, unlike all of the other companies out there who are saying, oh, this works or that works, there's scientific studies that shows that this lowers a blood glucose spike by up to 27%. So, and it can reduce your insulin spike by up to 28%. That's actually 2 packets of this will reduce it by 28%. Guess what? Since it's food and it's not a medication, you can do more than 2 packets in a day. But I just do 1 a day. I'm going to combine it with these 6 simple tips that I'm going to give everyone. Hey, Jenny. And then we're going to go on about all of this stuff. So a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink 10 minutes before I eat, and it's reversed my insulin resistance. It reversed my diabetes. My diabetes, I was at 7.4 on my A1C. It's now at 5.3. My blood pressure was 180 over 150 at some point during every day, but pretty much more average was 150 over 110. And now, off of all medications, 2.5 years ago, I threw away every single medication in my cabinet, and my blood pressure is now 112 over 74 every single morning. So, does it work? Yes. And that's it. If you want to order it, all you got to do is go to my profile up here, click on the link, the box that, or go up here, click on that. When the box comes up below, click on that link, and then let's just show you real quick. Guys, I'm all kinds of excited for some reason this morning. I woke up Monday morning just like, rawr. And so my ADD is like way, way out of control, but we're going to deal with it. Okay. Or I'm going to deal with it. I hope you guys can. So, and that's all I did, you guys. We're going to go over some tips, though, that go along with it. I have my Canva page up. Canva. All right. So if you go to my profile, tap on the picture up here, and my lenses. These red lights, look for the link right under there. You're going to click on that. That's going to take you to the order page. Now, you guys, I want to be really super clear about something. I have a lot of people who say, I ordered, you didn't call me, you didn't text me. That's because you ordered off of Amazon, eBay, Walmart. Those products do not come with the 90-day money-back guarantee. They do not come with the satisfaction guarantee or the quality guarantee or the low price guarantee. You actually pay more for it when you go there. Trust and believe. When you come here and you click on this link, that's going to get you to the company's webpage. I don't ship it to you. The company does. It should say Michelle Fayant up at the top, so you know that you're going to get me as a coach. And yes, I coach you for free. And then you just click on the buy now, and you're going to see the tea and the balance, and then you just place your order there. Now, that's that. So I would place the order on subscription. Swipe left. I don't know what happened. There we go. My phone was making me crazy. Okay. Jenny has lost 29 pounds in 3 months. And so you guys, we're gonna start talking about a few things. Which way do you guys want me to go? Do you want me to tell you the other tips that you guys can do for insulin resistance? And the ones that I did along with this, because it wasn't hard, you guys. It wasn't hard. Look, you can do this and still eat a fairly normal diet. The thing that I loved about the system is, I'm hot today, that I didn't have to change anything I was doing. I could live an imperfect life, and I could get there when I could get there. So for me, this is like a ladder. You guys don't start at the bottom of the ladder and jump to the top rung. I think that everybody needs to go up the ladder a rung at a time, right? So you start where you are, you start making some adjustments, and then as you feel better and you want to do better, you can make other adjustments. So I do have an ebook on that same page that I just showed you guys, a free ebook that goes over 6 simple steps that you can do with or without the system. But if you feel like you need the assistance, want the assistance in getting that blood glucose down, then use the system, okay? So, I need to put the link over in Facebook. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let's do that. I wasn't ready this morning, I think. Okay, that's in. So you guys over on Facebook, YouTube, that's the link to go to that same page that I was just showing, okay? Now, the 6 simple steps, let's talk about those really quick, and then I want to start addressing some of these questions, especially the anxiety depression one, okay? I don't want to be flippant about that. I want to explain why I'm saying that anxiety and depression are affected by insulin resistance and why addressing your insulin resistance can help that. But first, the 6 simple steps that are contained in that ebook, you guys, and it's free to you. Just get the ebook and start your journey. You want to get fiber in first. And remember, because I don't want to have to remember all the fibers and buy all of that stuff and do all of that or worry about it when I'm traveling. I just use the system because it makes it easy. This is my day on the system. It packs in my purse. I mix it in water. I don't have to worry. If I have pizza, I just have one of these beforehand. If I end up going out for burgers with people, I just have one of these ones. If I have Indian food, I have this 10 minutes before. If I have Mexican food, I have this 10 minutes before, and it just makes it easy. I don't have to worry about finding the right fibers because it's all there. And that's the one thing that worked for me. Okay, so fiber first. Every time you eat, before you eat, fiber first, because that is what's going to slow down the sugars from converting into your system too quickly. Okay, then you want to prioritize protein. And there's some timing with that. And these are the things I help coach you on, by the way, for free when you're doing the system. There's no extra cost for contacting me, for asking me questions, for getting help. There's no extra cost for that. So prioritize protein. Protein is a building block, but protein also gives you energy. And we'll talk a little bit about protein in a bit if anybody wants to. And so fiber first, protein next. Then you're going to fill up with healthy fats. Fats like olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, that is, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, the animal fats. Those are actually healthy fats. Those are not causing the cholesterol problem. Sugar is causing your cholesterol problem. I've done many videos on it, and I'll explain it to you here in a minute again, but sugar causes your cholesterol problem. The saturated fats that I'm talking about are actually good for your metabolism. They're good for your muscles. Your body needs them. Okay, so fiber, protein, and fats. That's what your plate should look like, right? Then you're going to limit your carbs. Carbs come last. Step 5 is do some intermittent fasting, and I'll explain that if anybody needs to know that as well. And then step 6 is move your body. You guys should be walking up to 30 minutes a day, or a minimum of 30 minutes a day. That doesn't have to be like, oh, gotta go out and take a 30-minute walk. No, get up in the morning, take a walk, dance for 10 minutes, do something. I have a partner who does this wiggle challenge. So every morning she dances for 15 minutes. That's perfect. Because it doesn't have to be crazy workouts. Although if you want to opt for that, do that. This fits for your life. It just is giving us back what's been stripped out so we can be more healthy and live a more realistic life. Hey, Dale. And so pathway, I have done that many times. And you're jumping in partway in. So how many times am I expected to do that? I am not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I worked for doctors and nutritionists. I worked in the medical field and for allergy, for urgent care, for all of these things. And no doctor was able to help me or explain this. Even my hormone doctor, and insulin is a hormone. Okay. So I'm a woman who lived through all of this stuff up above and overcame almost all of that by doing the system and by following a science-based approach that is touted by Dr. Bickman, who wrote the book Why We Get Sick. I also follow people like Dr. Fung, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Yao. Now, enough of that. Okay. So those 6 simple tips. Okay. So I know I was thinking this weekend, you guys, I'm going to apologize. It's been very, very busy. I will work on today getting some videos up on my recommendations page for some simple forms of exercise that you guys can do to help your insulin resistance. And we'll go from there. I'm not a physio coach, although I used to coach powerlifting. So I know a lot about lifting, but other stuff, no. Okay. Those are the 6 simple tips. Fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs, do some intermittent fasting, and do some move your body. Now, carbs. There's 3 macronutrients in your food. Those are the big pieces of your food. Okay, so those 3 macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay, where people are failing with their diets is just a simple understanding of what all of that is. So if it's not a fat and it's not a protein, then it is a carbohydrate. So yes, vegetables and fruits are carbohydrates. When you guys think about carbohydrates, you're simply thinking about rice and pasta and breads and that. But no, all of those are carbohydrates. And because fibers have been stripped from all of those things, you're getting high amounts of sugar as well. So that's the glycemic scale. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I say it multiple times, and in my videos I say it too. So maybe I can type that in the intro that comes up. That's probably a good idea. But yeah, so you guys, I have lived it. So let's talk about my story a little bit. I want to show you something. Um, go back to this page. So this is me, you guys. This is me working for doctors telling me there's nothing they can do for me, and then having other doctors tell me that if I would just lose some weight, I would get better. So this was me, about 270 pounds. My joints were failing. I had 3 joint replacement surgeries. I won 4 championships with replaced joints. My A1C was high. I had hypertension, hyperlipidemia, sleep apnea, heartburn, chronic fatigue, leg cramps, skin tags. I eventually lost my gallbladder because of insulin resistance. And so, yes, I have lived it. That's a partial list of what happened with me. 6 months on the system and learning about this, I lost 55 pounds, and I've kept that off. So I also talk about, we're working on, I was thinking about it this last week. I'm working on this stuff for gallbladder, because ladies, if you've been told to have your gallbladder out when you're pregnant, or if you've ever had your gallbladder out because they'd like to tell you to yank your gallbladder, you're going to have problems losing weight, because the gallbladder links into exacerbating insulin resistance and how your thyroid hormones work and how your estrogen works and all of that. So no gallbladder and having problems with losing weight, there's a problem with that also. Okay. So that is huge. So that's kind of why, when I figured out, like, I lost 55 pounds, and why didn't I lose more? I have people that I coach that have lost 120 pounds, 160 pounds, all of that. And then I started realizing my weight loss stopped when my gallbladder got yanked out. And I say yanked out because that's what I feel like happened. So then I started doing some research on what could have happened, and that, yeah, the gallbladder is a huge link to that. But did it stop me from having my blood pressure go down, or my energy be back, or my arthritis be gone, or my leg cramps stop, or skin tags, or skin discoloration, or any of the other things? No, it didn't. So it's just the weight part for me that we're dealing with the gallbladder. But you got to understand, the gallbladder gets I'm not going to say all of it, but the gallbladder gets gunked up and starts creating these crystals from a number of things that happen. And part of it is the cholesterol that we create by the sugar that we're eating. Sugar is creating the cholesterol problem. And then the fact that insulin resistance can cause this thing where you have nerve dysfunction. And when you're having this nerve dysfunction, it means that your intestines and your liver and your gallbladder cannot contract. So the gallbladder is not getting rid of bile, and now it's sitting in there making the sludge that turns into stones, and now you have a problem. But it all started with insulin resistance for most of us. So I haven't gone into how to save a gallbladder. I know there's a ton of information out there, but getting your sugar levels under control and getting your insulin level under control and getting that sensitivity back in your gut, so that your gut can actually work like it's supposed to and contract and move things through, is going to help you. Okay. It's going to help. Now, if you're already full of stones, there are other things that you're going to have to do, and I'm not the expert on that. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was an issue until I got septic and was about 2 hours from death, and they had to go in and do surgery. So there's that. So, all right, now, where were we? We were talking about, I did want to come back to, yeah. So anxiety, depression, you guys, let's dive in. Okay. So anxiety, depression, brain fog, Alzheimer's, they're all up here in the brain. Yeah, I eat beans, but we were going to talk about some foods to eat and to not eat. I don't really go over the foods not to eat. We all should know that, like, highly refined foods are not good to eat. We should all know that. We all know that. We don't want to accept it, but we all know that those highly refined foods are not good to eat. Do we all still eat them? Yep. But if you can get the fiber and the nutrients back in to help with that, yes, beans are great. But there's one type of bean, Can you guys guess which one type of bean that's great in protein, but it also helps regulate sugar? And you should eat it about 4 times a week, a quarter a cup or more. You're smart, Ms. Monique. Yes, it's the little white navy beans. So I eat them. I don't add anything to them but salt and pepper. I eat them a couple of times a week whenever I can remember to do it. A quarter a cup to half a cup of navy beans about 4 times a week. Those help, but they're not necessarily helping as much with the insulin resistance. They're helping with another enzyme that breaks down sugar. So especially you guys, ladies, 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 ladies. This is why it's more prevalent in us. I can't give you that answer right now because I'm not the scientist, right? But they've shown that in women, this enzyme called amylase, it's one of the enzymes that breaks down sugar, starts to build up in us ladies. So the older we get, the more latent amylase we have in our body. So now we're doing this because we want to slow down the delivery of sugar into our system. And then when we're hitting 50 or so, we have so much amylase in our system that it's breaking down the sugars too quickly. And so now we're fighting this battle. This still works, but the navy beans help with the reduction of amylase in your system so that you're not breaking down sugar too quickly. That's why the navy beans. Okay, so I would recommend those. You guys, more and more and more, they're showing that red meats actually help with diabetes and insulin resistance and all of this. So yes, meats are good for you. If you're a vegetarian, I will respect that. I'm not the vegetarian expert, so you'll have to find venues for protein that work for you. But the great thing is this still helps mediate the carbohydrates when you're doing those vegetarian type proteins, okay? So, and your proteins should be whole. Like I do some protein shakes now and again because I know that some days I'm just not getting in enough protein, and so I supplement with that. But I would encourage you to eat your proteins whole. So red meat is absolutely by far the best, according to Bickman and Fung have both been tweeting about how red meats are so great for diabetes, unlike what you've been told in the past. And then, things like chicken and fish. Now, turkey can be a little lean. So if you're going to have turkey, and there's some great components in turkey, you got to add more fat to it. And then pork. I mentioned this. This is my personal opinion from just the things I've noticed. Pork is lower in protein per volume than the other meats, and converts to higher amounts of sugar. So or glucose in the bloodstream. So pork is on the bottom of my list of meat proteins. Red meat's on the top. I'm a chicken eater though, so I eat a lot of chicken. But you should be eating salmon about 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. If you don't like salmon or can't tolerate it, then you could do shrimp, according to Dr. Lee. Okay, so those are 2 foods: navy beans, salmon or shrimp, red meat, or just proteins in general. Now, as a fruit, one of the fruits you guys all know, can you guys tell me what is being told as the best fruit for diabetics or for getting your blood sugars under control? Because they're not wrong, but there's one that's better. Do you guys know what the fruits are that are great for blood sugar control if you're going to have fruits? Kim, absolutely. Berries is one. Okay, so that's probably the fruit that I focus on the most. If I bring fruits into the house, oftentimes, especially when my grandson is over, I don't eat fruit a lot, but I'll get raspberries, blueberries. Those are my favorites. And those are great for your blood sugars because they're higher in fiber, lower in sugar. And so that means they're going to convert less in your system, and they're going to give you nutrients that you need as well. But there's one that Dr. Lee says is above even the berries. You guys ready? It's pears. Now, I was so excited to hear this because I love pears. Why pears? Because again, they're lower in the glycemic scale, meaning they have less sugar delivery, more fiber delivery, but they also contain this amazing component called chlorogenic acids. Chlorogenic acids help you feeling good. It helps with your mental state. Chlorogenic acids are one of the components that can cross the blood-brain barrier and actually start to get your brain normalizing again. So chlorogenic acids are high in pears. Chlorogenic acids are also very high in the tea. So I do them both. Now I have, with my first meal of the day, oftentimes I have a pear. I have a couple of shakes that I do that I will do a pear in those just because of all of those things. So that now capers, they've said, also help regulate your blood sugars. So if I have salmon, usually I do like lemon, butter, and caper sauce on them. It's kind of like double hit that. And avocados, because they're high in healthy fats and they're high in fiber and they're high in nutrients. So those are some foods you guys should focus on, okay? And then do that 6 simple steps. And if you can't remember those, go to my profile link and get the ebook, and it will get delivered to your email inbox. Whew, I'm stumbling on my words because my brain is working faster than my mouth right now. Okay. But I want to come back to anxiety and depression really quick. You guys, and remember, we're talking about this one simple system. It's just food products, but it's scientifically designed to help with all of this. Now, your brain gets insulin resistant too. Do you guys know that? When we talk about insulin resistance in the body, we talk about the gut, we talk about the heart and the liver and the kidneys and all of these other things. But what I want people to understand is that the brain gets insulin resistant at the same time the rest of the body does. The brain is made up of cholesterol, but it needs what to function? Do you guys know what the brain needs to function? Because it's kind of counterintuitive to what we're doing, right? Your brain needs carbohydrates. Your brain needs carbohydrates. Anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's, brain fog, they're all linked to the brain not being able to get in enough energy in the brain. Now you're not able to use serotonin and dopamine, so you're not sleeping well, you don't have the happy times during the day, your energy levels are dysregulated, and you're having a harder time thinking, and you're having a harder time regulating moods. So there's that. Now, one of the other things, and why? Because if you're insulin resistant in the brain, remember that you're not delivering energy to the brain, so it's not getting in there. And even if it is getting in there, then your brain is so insulin resistant that it's not utilizing the energy. And you guys know that brain fog, fatigue, that kind of fatigue can also cause severe hunger cravings. When you are hungry, your body is saying you need fuel. So if your brain is tired and you're getting headaches that are leading into migraine headaches, your brain's not getting the energy it needs. So you've got to reverse the insulin resistance, and that's part of why it's helping with migraines and whatnot. There's also this thing of neurons in the brain, and so instead of firing between two endings, the neurons are firing out the sides. Instead of firing out the ending and landing in this one, it's kind of firing out into dead space, black space out here. So now you're not getting the connections in your brain that you need to have normal brain function. Anxiety, depression, and that's caused by insulin resistance. You start to reverse the insulin resistance, and that goes away. So when they say you cannot cure anxiety and depression with a supplement, maybe not for all, but for a majority of us, I was so depressed that I cried almost every single night and begged God to just not let me wake up in the morning. I was in so much pain, I was so frustrated, and I was depressed, and I just couldn't figure out life, and I don't have those nights. Okay, so does it help with anxiety and depression, getting insulin resistance under control? Yes, it does. And Dr. Bickman talks about it in this book. You guys, this book is also in my recommendations page in my profile link. So this is a book worth reading. But it goes over all of this stuff, the hormone issues, the gut issues, the brain issues, the cognitive functions. He links it into Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. I actually have a friend who is having tremors, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with her, and she was terrified. And I was visiting her, and I said, hey, look, at that time I didn't know very much about the system. I just had started, and I was just starting my learning journey. But I'm like, look, let's mix up this tea because I know it works on the brain, and it sounds to me like we're having a brain function issue. That's just me as a friend talking, right? So I mixed up a tea. She started drinking it. She didn't even finish the tea. Within 5 minutes of starting to drink the tea, her tremors had calmed down from like this to just like barely. And then within 10 minutes, her tremors were gone because she was now, I mean, I'm assuming because she was now getting energy cues to the brain, and it works. It works. This was actually developed as a mental health tool. So migraines, anxiety, depression, yes. Now there are other things that can cause anxiety and depression. I get that. But for the majority of us who are just suffering with this phantom anxiety and depression, you've got to understand that your brain is not getting what it needs to function properly. So you can go to all the counseling you want. I can go the other way with this and say you could go to all the counseling you want. You can do all the self-help and all the affirmations, but if your brain is not getting energy, those affirmations are not going to help you until you get the physiology of your body fixed. Okay? So take care of the insulin resistance and that goes away. PCOS. I remember somebody saying PCOS. So let's talk about PCOS a little bit. And then if there's other things on this list, please let me know because I want to address them for you while we can. All right. I'm on for another, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, and I want to answer as much as I can. Now, PCOS. We all know we have male and female, right? Men have gonads and testes, men, and we have women who have ovaries, right? So we look different, we perform different, we have different bone structure, we have different muscle structure, we have different body structure because of those two things. So what we need to understand is we have sex hormones, testosterone, DHEA, progesterone, estrogen. Well, the female hormones have to be produced out of the androgens or the male hormones. So we're just going to break it down to say testosterone. So with insulin resistance, what's happening is your body is not getting the cue to your ovaries to convert testosterone into estrogen. You have to have testosterone converted to estrogen to get those female hormones. If insulin is dumbing down those signals from the brain to say into the ovaries to say convert testosterone, now you're not getting enough estrogen. You have an excess of testosterone. We're talking women, right? So now you have facial hair, you have male pattern baldness, you have a stronger jawline, you just have anger issues, you're putting on weight that you can't explain, and you're just having problems with your periods. Why problems with the periods? So in your ovaries, your estrogen levels are not the same throughout the month. There are times in the month when your estrogen levels are very low, and there are times in the month where your estrogen levels are very high. But if you're not getting the cues for the ovaries to convert this testosterone into estrogen during those times when it should be high, the times when it should be high is like this. When you start your cycle, your body is cueing, your estrogen levels are low when you start your cycle. Your body's cueing you to release eggs, right? Yep. So Annie, we're going to explain this in just a second, and then I'll show you the system again that helps. That's helped a number of women with the same issue. So estrogen levels are low. You have this follicle stimulating hormone come out that's stimulating your eggs to come out. And then out of that batch of eggs, it's like one egg grows up. Okay. And it says this egg is ready. And so in a normal body, the brain is the ovaries are now cueing the brain to cue that we need more estrogen. So estrogen levels start to go up. As estrogen levels go up, it's stimulating this thing called luteinizing hormone that goes in and targets those eggs that are not viable, and they start to dissipate and go away and leave the ovaries, kind of breaking them down, right? Well, when you're not getting that heightened estrogen in your system, those eggs are not breaking down. Instead of dissipating and going away, they're falling into the lining of the ovary. And when they hit the tissue in the ovary, they start to sink in, and it causes cysts, which can be painful. So poly, many, because of all the eggs in there, cystic, all these little eggs are falling into the lining of your ovaries, causing cysts syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay. So You're not simply not getting enough estrogen converted for this whole cycle to work properly. So your cycles may be long, and 1 month they may be short. When I had it, when I was still having periods, I would go about once a year. I would have a period that was about 4 weeks. The rest of the time they were like 6 weeks or so in between, and I was very difficult. I was at the doctor twice a month trying to figure out how I could have children. Thus, I call my children both immaculate conception, because I was told I would probably never have them because of PCOS. Okay, so that's why you're not converting testosterone into estrogen. So what you should do, Annie, is get your insulin resistance under control. How I did it, and how a number of girls have done it, is the system that I'm using. So I want you to understand this. Everyone understand this. There's a 90-day money back guarantee. There's a low price guarantee when you use my discount code, and then there's a the quality guarantee that says that it's tested at 3 points during the production of this. So you're getting a really efficacious product. It has a lot of science behind it, but it's just a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink 10 minutes before I eat anything, that's helping regulate all of this action from insulin resistance and regulating blood sugar, so that we can be our bodies can act like they're normally supposed to. And when that happens, and insulin is the body's no longer resistant to insulin, now you're converting testosterone into estrogen and your cycles normalize. So we all have stories that hit, right? Well, there's two for me. One of them is a young gal who started the system, was having problems conceiving, was newlywed, they wanted kids, she was having painful periods, she was having all the problems, felt bad about herself. Guys, men, if there are men on here, PCOS is as damaging to women as erectile dysfunction is to men. I need you to understand that. So she's had her self-esteem issues and all of that. She decided to try the system, 3 drinks in a day, a tea in the morning, and a pre-meal drink before her first 2 biggest meals of the day. And within a month, she had her first normal period. Month 2, she had her second normal period. Month 3, she didn't have a period, and she was despondent. Like, I thought this was working. I thought I found the thing. I thought this was it. I'm devastated now. She ended up being convinced to take a pregnancy test. Guess what? By month 3, she was pregnant, and she now has a 1-year-old baby. Then there's another one. Dad was an EMT. She wanted to have a baby. She didn't tell him. She was stealing his system out of his cupboard. He kind of knew, but he was like, she's doing what's good for her. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep replenishing the supplies. She did the system, and she ended up pregnant. Now that EMT has a 1-year-old grandbaby as well. And there are more and more stories like that. So PCOS, if you get your insulin resistance under control, it can change the landscape of that. Dr. Bickman calls PCOS and erectile dysfunction metabolic infertility, because it all comes back to your metabolism. Hey, Jason, good morning. I didn't see you pop in here. Oh, you just popped in. So, and Jason is one of my guys, you guys. I like for him to tell his story, but here's the thing. I'll let him type it in because I want you to see it from the horse's mouth or the teddy bear's mouth. But Jason has lost over 160 pounds. His doctors wanted to put him on medications. He didn't do it. He talked to me and he started the system, and now he's lost over 160 pounds, and he's doing fantastic now. His male function is back. His sleep apnea is better. His A1C, guys, his A1C was 13.3. And for those people who don't know, because I didn't used to know until it affected me, his A1C was 13.3. That is devastating. That's danger, danger. The red light should be going off, sirens, everything at 13.3. His A1C today, about a year and a half on the system, is at 5.7. 160 pounds gone, 5.7. No longer diabetic, no longer pre-diabetic. His doctors are pulling their hair out because they don't know how he did it without all the damaging medications they wanted to give him. Jason, you can type your story in for me if you have time. So we don't do sales that way. So A1C is like a 3-month overview of what your blood sugars have been, an average of those blood sugars. So that's A1C. Okay. Cyber Monday sales. You guys, I didn't do any because I was all about family the last few days, and so I did a Black Friday deal, but so this is just through me, you guys. If you're not ordering through me, you're not getting the deal. But I thought for Cyber Monday, and I just haven't put it up yet, I will do this. We also have this great collagen product called Oasis. It has a great berry flavor to it. It's super digestible, usable collagen for your system. By the way, collagen is also very healthy for your metabolism. So here's my deal to you guys. I'll do a video about it when I'm done with the live because you asked, Joy. So if you do the system on subscription, I'll do the same thing I did for Black Friday, only I'm going to do it with the Oasis. You do the subscription today. By the end of today, I will send you 5 of the Oasis for free on me as my gift to you. So there's that. If you're already purchasing and you're not on subscription, switch it to subscription. I'll still send you the Oasis. Or if you're using the system on subscription and you're like, well, that cuts me out. No, just refer somebody. You know somebody that you love that needs the system. You guys know somebody who's suffering from anxiety, from depression, from high blood pressure, from sleep apnea, from high lipids, from kidney disease. You guys, I just did a video on Coach Greg who had stage 3 kidney disease, did the system, and has reversed his stage 3 kidney disease, no longer needs to be prepped for dialysis. That's huge. You know how many people have I've talked to that have kidney disease, and I always feel sad when I have to talk to them and they're already on dialysis, because at that point I can't reverse that for them. We can help. Okay, so Joy, you tell me, since you've already purchased and you purchased just before I did these. So Friday I did the matcha tea. I'll give you the choice, and I need to write down your name so that I make sure and do this, because Jason knows my ADD gets the best of me. Joy, do you want matcha or do you want Oasis? I'll honor that. If you guys bought on Friday and got the matcha, that's the deal. But Joy obviously ordered before because she just got her package. So you can get the matcha, great for energy, metabolism. This is higher in caffeine. But for those people who can't do caffeine, I thought I would do the Oasis today, which is a great source of collagen. So you just got to tell me which you want, the matcha or the Oasis, and I'm going to work on getting packages out today and tomorrow. Okay? Just, you want the Oasis? Okay. Okay, so guys, that's it. I will do a video on it today. The Oasis is amazing. I'll try and do a video on the Oasis so you understand what you're getting alongside of it. But the system actually works. You guys, you need to do it. If you're not trying it, you're missing out. With a 90-day money-back guarantee, like, look, I just felt like my back was up against the wall, and I tried everything, and I just knew that I needed to change something. So one thing I can guarantee is if you keep doing the same things you're doing, you're not going to change a thing. In order to get the change you want, you have to make some changes. So yes, the system is about $5 a day. But how many of you guys are spending $5 a day? Jason and I sat down and calculated one day, about 6 months of him being on the system, and we were just talking, and between sodas and chips and candy bars and just like rescue me energy things, because our bodies were just so sugar addicted and tired, we were spending $15 to $20 a day just like dropping it here and there and not even paying attention. $5 a day is a big deal. It's easy to do for most of us. 8 behind me. it's a numerological thing. 8s are a good number for me. So yeah, as well as pink and blue. So you guys, that's that. Now, anything else on any of the you're the first person to ask. That's kind of fun. Anybody have the other questions about any of the other things that are going on up there before I hop off this morning and go start dealing with all the orders that I get to send matcha energy out to? If you want the Oasis today, let me know. Just get your order in and let me know. We'll do the Oasis. But you guys have to understand, that's where I was going. I'm moving and I have a ton of stuff going on, and so all the boxes in the house have my head going crazy. But if you guys don't make the change, you're not going to see the change. So you're going to get me for coaching. You're going to get the guarantee. You're going to get the low price. That's what I want to say. I have had so many people in the last couple of months or over time anyway that have said, well, I bought it on Amazon. You never called me. Well, you're buying it from somebody that is not authorized to sell it. If you're not getting it through the company's website, you're not getting the guarantees. The only way to get it through the company's website is to use a link from someone like me who's an authorized distributor. If you're getting it on Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and you're buying it from them, we can't guarantee those products. We don't know how they've been handled. We don't know that they're the real products. We found pirated products. And I've had people say, well, I tried it, but it was just too expensive, because they're spending over $100 a month more on it by buying it on Amazon than they are by buying it through me, getting the coaching and getting the guarantees. So please don't do that to yourself, okay? Just use the link. I'll be here to help you. You guys you get texts from me, you get emails from me, you get actual coaching from me, you get to text me when you need. And I encourage people to text me whenever they need. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And that's that. Do you guys have any questions before I hop off about any of the issues, skin tags, dark skin patches? I'm here every morning at about 8 o'clock. So get your questions together, bring your friends, and let's talk about how we can get your health better. Okay? Treehouse. I see a picture there. I can't see it because it's tiny, but all right, you guys. I'm gonna head out. Joy, let's chat. I'll send you a text in a little bit, and let's have a chat, and I'll get you the Oasis out. I already have your address. So, okay, guys, we'll see you in the morning at 8 o'clock. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope over the last 4 days you had some good time with family. I know family can be challenging, but we just have to shift our focus in life. This is not about the system. This is just about everything in life. When we shift our focus to what's possible and what's good, our life becomes full of possibilities and full of good. When we're focused on what's wrong with each other, and I hear all of these posts about horrible family times over the holidays and stuff. We create that. We create that. Approach your family and your loved ones with love, and the whole world will change around you. It's a simple fact. Okay, we'll talk to you guys in the morning. Have a great day. Bye. I'll talk to you soon, Joy.